All right, attorney and former police officer Pete Schulte with us again tonight. You heard the end of that?
Yeah.
Is that likely to you? I don't know. It could be. I mean, they're saying, what the heck? That was horrible. An officer says, wasn't me.
You know, I think officers
I
think officers may react differently when they come across or are involved with a situation like that. But again, you know, we have a shooting where a suspect could have or could not have been in handcuffs. Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
All right. So your response. I was sitting here watching your observations. The suspect's the suspect's gun that we've been told by police that was the suspect's gun lying in the street. That's not one of those mini pocket guns. That was a pretty big.
It was a pretty large.
Found in a pat down.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a mistake made. Obviously that during the pat down, that gun should have been located before the individual was placed in the back of the squad car. I mean, we know that that's a fact. I mean, that there's a mistake there.
And how does that go? You said you think that he was a runner, tried to run, that kind of thing. So it escalated, and it was an intense situation that the police officer who put him in the back shouldn't have probably, or one of them shouldn't have left the side of the car.
Yeah, I think basically when they got the call that this individual was following somebody and they initially went up to detain the individual, my understanding was he was very agitated. And so at that point they decided to detain him until they completed their investigation.
They had him in a headlock, and so there was a little struggle.
Yeah, there was a struggle. They throw him in the back of the squad car and they go about to do their investigation, because my understanding is they didn't know the bike was stolen at that time. They didn't really know what they were dealing with at the time. So yeah, police procedure should be that if you have somebody who's agitated, you want to make sure that you sit with somebody or have somebody standing by the squad car to observe the suspect. And if they had somebody doing that, an officer standing there, they probably would have seen him, whatever he was doing with the handcuffs, either taking him out from behind his back or undoing them or getting something out of his waistband.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is gonna come out, we hope, over the coming days, although Highland Park isn't talking at all right now. Here, let me give you the scenario. I think what's bothered people, number one, they didn't like the gun not being found, and we agree that's a mistake.
Correct.
You know that. Number two, was he in handcuffs? Wasn't he in handcuffs? Is there a scenario where a suspect in handcuffs behind his back, still gets shot, and that's an okay shoot?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be certain circumstances where if a suspect is handcuffed, and somehow they have access to a weapon. And again, just like we talked about last week, when we evaluate these shooting situations, it's what is known to the officer at the time the force is used. And if they're in handcuffs and they think that he still has a gun on them, they're perceiving a threat, deadly force is authorized. And so, yeah, it's rare, don't get me wrong, we don't hear about it very often, but yeah, there are going to be situations, but there are a lot of questions. I mean, we need to know, why was the gun found outside the vehicle? If he was inside the vehicle when he allegedly first got shot, the gun wouldn't be outside the vehicle. We wouldn't have witnesses saying he was shot in the back if he was trying to flee. I mean, there are a lot of questions that still have not been answered.
But I'm trying to create different things in my mind. If he did get out, and even if his hands were behind his back, if he had the gun, which ended up outside, which would explain why the gun's outside, if he still had the gun, that's a situation where a guy like that can get shot.
Absolutely justified.
Okay. All right. How about the running away part of it? If he was, in fact, running away and shot in the back, does that pose another problem?
It might. I mean, based on what the police investigation uncovers. But again, if there's still a threat being perceived, at that point, we already knew he had fired off the weapon. So the officers, it was dark. They could have felt like he still had the weapon on him. It's all going to come down to what they believed and what they knew at the time that the gun were fired at.
Got it. Last question. You thought an observation was interesting that the Dallas County Sheriff's Office has got involved in this and kind of taken over the lead of the investigative side of it. What are your thoughts?
And most of the time in shootings that, the agency who employs the officer is going to take the primary lead. There's some agencies that don't get involved in shootings very much, and Highland Park is one of them, that they may want a bigger department to come in and do the investigation just so they can say, hey, look, it's independent. We had nothing to do with it. When they clear the officers, if that happens, then, it's independent. We didn't, bend the investigation a little bit to help our guys out. But again, until we know more, we don't really want to second guess these officers because, again, it goes to what they knew at the time.
Exactly.
A lot of questions.
You like that outside agency? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine with me. It's one of those things that bigger departments have the internal affairs units and the investigators that are trained to investigate officer-involved shootings. I don't think Highland Park has a lot of them, so they probably don't. So I'm okay with that.
Okay, Pete Schulte, this is going to be one where it comes out, it evolves, I guess, if anybody talks to us over the next couple of days.
Right, and I would hope that Highland Park Police do release a little bit more information. Like today, they released a statement that the suspect was thoroughly searched. Well, we know that didn't happen. And I hope that they do release some more information to say this was a good shoot.
Yeah. All right, Pete,
thanks.